Welcome to MountBlue Prep. MountBlue Prep is a preparatory track of MountBlue, which helps you in improving your programming skills and problem solving skills, wherein you can easily crack the interview of MountBlue or score 2600 points in HackerRank and get into MountBlue. So in today's session, we are going to cover data types in JavaScript and we'll take up some problems as well. Let me share my screen. Good. Change the language to JavaScript. So what do you mean by a data type? See, in any programming language, whenever we are writing any program, the program requires some data to be manipulated. So for that matter, any program that we write has some data to be manipulated. We are going to perform certain operations on the data and generate the desired output. So basically, we are required to hold the data in our program. So for that reason, what is the value, what is the type of data that we are going to handle is indicated with the data type. So the data type indicates the type of value that can be held in the memory of a computer and what are the operations that we can perform on that. So what do you mean by the set of operations that we can perform is like you can add that numbers. If it is a number, you can add. If it is some other type, you can compare. Isn't it? This is generally there are the arithmetic operations or comparison and logical operation that we are going to perform on the data. That is what we are going to cover. Now in this case, like in JavaScript, if we take JavaScript, you are having various kinds of data types. So what are the basic data types that are there that I will list first of all, then we'll go to on discussing one by one. The first type of data that we are required to handle is of type what? Number. Then next one is string. Good. Next one is Boolean. Then you have null, and next one is undefined. So these are the basic types which represent the scalar values or primitive types. You can call them as primitive also. These are the primitive types we are having. As the name suggests, number, first one, when we look at that one, number. So how we are going to have numeric values manipulated? In number in the sense that can be integers, floating point numbers, double precision numbers, any number we can handle it in JavaScript by using number. Like in JavaScript, we use here three things to declare a variable. We can use the variable let, var, or const. Now, suppose if I am declaring a variable, so what is a variable? Is an identifier used to represent the value, isn't it? So I am declaring a variable here where, okay, n is the value. Then you are giving it as what? 10. So the value assigned to this variable is of type what? We can check it here. Just you can console.log type of n. Now, like unlike other programming languages, you can see here, it is what? Number. Like if you look at the C programming language, you are declaring it, if it is like int n x, sorry, integer for x, isn't it? Like C++ also has that one, Java also has that one. Good. If you want to have float, you declare float like this and some variable Why? But in JavaScript, it is not like that. You can simply declare the variable and assign any type of value. So based on the value assigned, it will automatically convert, it will automatically identify what is the data type for that one. Now in this case, you can see here, n has been assigned, variable n. Okay, we declare that, we use the keyword var here to declare a variable where n is a variable, that to that I have assigned the value 10. So based on the value assigned, it has automatically interpreted that as it is a number. So that is what we have the dynamism in JavaScript. Now suppose if I assign, if I want to store a decimal value, like can give 10.78 and check the output here. In that case also it is what? Number. So what are the allowable operations on numbers? How many bytes it will take? How many bytes of memory it will take? So number in JavaScript takes 8 bytes of memory. 8 bytes. You can perform all arithmetic operations and you can use all the logical operators on that one and perform the operations. You can see here like console.log, you can just go for all the arithmetic operations. You can give n plus 10, the number plus 10, got the result as 20.78. So if you are giving, yeah, for product you are using star, that is arithmetic operation. Good. And to get the modulus, like let's take integer n, yeah, mod 3. You can give a, we will be getting the reminder. If you want to get the reminder, you can see a modulus operator also works. You can use relational operators as well, like greater than or equals to n, greater than or equals to 3, it would return what? True. 10 is greater than or equal to 3, it is true. Now in JavaScript, we have operators here. If you want to compare equality, for that we are using double equals to. It is false. Yeah, for strict checking, when the left hand side and right hand side should be of same data type, for that we can use this one. Isn't it? So if n is equals to 10, it's true here. Isn't it? Suppose if I give you, it is in the form of a string, how we are going to enclose it, that in the single quotes or double quotes, whatever we are giving, it's a string. Now in this case, it's false. You can see it's false. Why? Because it is in the form of string. Now if I use double equals to, check here, in this case, we will be getting the output as true. Observe that carefully. Why? Because n is an numeric type here, integer type here. Now 10 is of type string, but in the conversion, in the process, JavaScript has automatically converted string represented in the form of 10 to in number and had compared that. So in that case, we call it as what? True. For strict checking, you can use what? Is equals to, so that both the types on the left hand side and right hand side data types should be same. So that is how you can use relational operators on the type of number. And one more thing, like be careful with this one. Like suppose if you want to perform the operations, like if you are giving n/3, so what would be the output here? We got it as 3.333. In some cases, suppose you want to get only the integer part of that one, you want only the 3, like it should do the integer conversion. In that case, how you are going to perform that one? Okay, I'll tell you that in latter part. We'll just take one example using that and I'll explain you that. So this is how you can use the type int or number. That is first type, that is numeric or number type. Now strings in JavaScript, let me erase this. So strings in JavaScript, how do we have strings in JavaScript? You can see here, where suppose I have given, I want to give you a name is equals to, whatever you are enclosing within the double quotes is a string, computer. You can just check console.log type of name. So what would you get here? It is what? Of type string. It is of type what? String. And the JavaScript strings are immutable. That is, once we have declared a string, we cannot change it. So what do you mean by change? You can change the whole string. Not that doesn't mean you cannot have that one. Type of string you can type of name is what string. You can declare that. Sorry, print that and check it out. So it is of type string, and you are getting it as what? Computer. Now I can change it. Name is equals to, suppose I can give you a MountBlue. Console.log. You are giving it as name. Now the string has changed. So what does that mean by we cannot JavaScript strings are immutable. So once the string is assigned, we cannot change. Like suppose the example in JavaScript, string is also just like an array. So I'll come to that in latter part. What is when we discuss strings in detail. Like s of 0. So what is the character at the index of 0 is what? C. Suppose I'm changing it to P. Try to understand this one. Name here, sorry, not S, name of 0. So 0 means it will represent character C. So you are trying to change this one, isn't it? And after that, if you try to print, what you're getting, it is what? Same, computer itself. It did not change to P. Got it? So that is what we mean by JavaScript strings are what? Immutable. Good. And what is the memory of this one? Yeah, we should take that one into consideration. What is the memory of strings? For each character, each character will take how many bytes? 2 bytes. 2 bytes of memory for each character. If you have given a string of this computer is of length 8, so 8 into 2, it is what? How many bytes it will take here? Completely 16 bytes of memory. And we can use like equals to operator on this one also. Just now I've seen name is equals to, suppose I want to give, name is having the value as MountBlue. Suppose if I give computer, what will happen? You will get what? False. You can use is equals to operator here and compare two strings. You are getting false. And one more thing, we can use the concatenating. For concatenating of strings, we can use the plus operator here. Suppose if I am giving name is equals to name plus. So plus, what it would do? It would add the strings. For concatenating of the strings, we are using this one, MountBlue. Suppose if I'm giving prep, and if you just display this one, what you will be getting name as what? Concatenated. That is what MountBlue prep. So that is how you can use strings. And suppose if with the strings, when we are performing the operations, you should be careful. At the beginning, I've said you that JavaScript is what? Dynamic programming language. It would adjust. Now suppose if I have a value here, n is equals to 5. Now if I give a console.log of n plus, this is a string. Okay, I'm giving it a string. So what would be the output here? Let's comment this. So what would be the output here? When we are trying to add a number with a string, will it give an error or will get the result? N is of type 5, integer numeric type, and 10 is represented in the form of a string. So what is the output here? Good. So we got it as what? 510. Can you see it is concatenated? The N is of type 5, isn't it? It is 5. And 10 is of type string, so it has converted. String here is of higher type, so it has been converted. And 5 has been concatenated, isn't it? It did not perform what you call arithmetic addition of these two numbers. Good. Now, where some k is equals to, let's do this one and display the k value. Okay, you can see we got it as what? Concatenated. So this value is concatenated. Now suppose if I give like this, multiplied by 10, what you will get here? Just all of you pay attention here. N multiplied by this string 10. So n is 5 here, 5 into 10. It is integer. You can give you 5 also and check. Number into string. So we got the value as what? 50 here. Why it is 50 here? 10 is automatically converted to type number. Okay, a string represented value in the form of number. Okay, then that is converted to 10 new number, then multiplied by 5, you're getting the value as what? 50 here. Is that okay? Fine. So that works good. So that way you should be careful. Like suppose if it was 5 multiplied by this one, it has done the conversion. Automatic conversion is been performed. Yeah, if you have any queries, guys, just text me in the chat. I'll address them at the end of the session. Fine. Yeah, it is of this is how you are going to handle what? Strings. That is anything that is enclosed within the double quotes is a string. In JavaScript, a string is also array or collection or group of characters that is enclosed within the double quotes. And the JavaScript strings are what? Immutable. Now suppose if I give like this, like instead of this one, 1 plus 1 plus true, what would be the output? What is the output we got here, guys? Check here. We got it as what? True. So 1 plus 1, 2, 2 plus 1 is what? True indicates one value. Okay, I'll come to that in after. False is what? 0 here generally. Isn't it? So we got 1 plus false is what? 0 here. Yeah, I'll come to that. So if you have a Boolean value to be represented, is present. Suppose you want to check is present is false. Console.log, that is the next data type we are having type of is present. So what do we get here is what do we get here? Is present. What is the data type of that is what? Boolean. The data type is what? Boolean. Isn't it? So Boolean represent either true or false whenever we want to have. So you can give only two values here. It takes 4 bytes of memory. Boolean is used to represent true or false values. It takes how many bytes? 4 bytes of memory. It takes 4 bytes of memory to handle or represent the Boolean value. Okay, fine. And yeah, in the example above here, false represents 0, true represents what? 1. So that way we got the 1 plus 1 plus 0 is what? 2 here. Isn't it? If you are adding integer plus some other type. Now suppose if I give like this 1 plus MountBlue MB, so what would be the result here? So 1 plus 1 is 2 MB. Okay, that is a string, so that has been concatenated. If we have an expression containing different types, okay, you can see it has been added. So that is the beauty of JavaScript, that it will automatically adjust. So that is what we are calling it. JavaScript is dynamic programming language. It will adjust to any type automatically based on the values being processed at that time. Good. And let's see next type. Suppose if I declare a variable here and do not assign any value, what is the type we are getting here? If I do not assign any value, check here. N. Yeah, let's yeah, N has been declared here. Again, it has been redeclared. We'll declare some other value, roll number, variable name as roll number. Let's comment these guys so that it will be easy for us. There are different outputs coming. So we got the type as what? Undefined. Why we are getting undefined here? So what is undefined? That is our next type. We are getting roll number as we have declared the value. If we declare a variable and we do not assign any value, in that case we are getting it as what? Undefined. Now you can check here value. Now, if you look at C programming language, those who have C or C++, we talk about garbage value. If you declare a variable and do not assign any value, it will be garbage value. It's not like that here. It is indicated with what? Undefined. When you do not have any value, a variable is declared, but it does not have any value. that is indicated with undefined. We did not give here automatically. JavaScript will assign that one. So you can just check here, type of, it is what, undefined. Good. And there is something called a null. Check here, null when we are giving. So null indicates what, non-presence of a value. When we do not have any value, that is indicated with what, null. Look here carefully. Null is non-presence of value, and what does undefined indicate? Undefined is of type what? When we are giving null here, it is what type of object. You can check here. What is object? I'll just come to that within a few minutes. It is of type what? Object. Null is of type what? Object. And if we do not give any value, it is what? Undefined. A variable has been declared but has not been assigned any value, that is indicated with undefined. Should be careful with this one. Suppose if you have one variable here, you want to check here, like roll number is equals to undefined. You're getting it as true. So they are not same. Both are not same. Is equals to null. If you say, you get true. But if you go for strict checking, it is false. Why? Because roll number is of type undefined and this is of type object. So that is why we are getting it as what? False. Good. Yeah, let's take one simple example now, like covering these things. It will be easy for you to understand. Like if we are given a number 128, so what you are required to do means find the sum of individual digits. So it should be like what? So the output should be like 1 plus 2 plus 8. So output should be 11, isn't it? Let's write that program. Let's take the input directly and declare that one. So where I'm declaring the variable, any variable you can give. For this example, I'm taking 128, isn't it? So how to get the, what is the logic here? We have to get the individual digits from a number, isn't it? So you are going to have the individual digits from a number. So how do you get the individual digits from a number? That is the, we have to break it. Okay, I'll explain that. Then let's take one variable for storing the sum in that one. So initially let's give it at 0. So hope you are all familiar with while loop. So while is used for repetition. Wherever you want to carry out any task repeatedly, for that we are using the statement while. So while n greater than 0. Okay, first of all I am going to divide n by 10. So let's take here, remainder is equals to n mod 10. So what that would give us? Yeah, it will give us the value as what? The value at the units place, then tens place, then this one. So let's declare one variable for reminder also. Good. So we got the value as 8 here. Reminder, that is 128, isn't it? So 128 mod that. One 128 mod 10. So that would give you as what? 8. Then next one is we have to get 12. Then 12 mod 10. 2. Then what remains is 1. Isn't it? So that way we can just slice it, a number. So sum is equals to, in give here sum plus what? Reminder. Good. Then every time the loop iterates, we have to change the value of n. N is equals to n slash 10. Guys, just see how, like, we got it. Let's check the console.log of what? The result is there in the variable sum. Let's print it, sum. What we are getting, the result as 12 point something. Is it correct? Is it correct, guys? Is it correct? No. So where is the problem? Let's console log and check this one. Okay, so we are getting the remainder correct or not. Console.log. Okay, we'll just do one console here and check for that one. Console.log remainder, then n value. So what is the n value? These are the two things that we need to check. Just pay attention here, everyone. Good. So this loop repeated sometimes and we got the values like this. So first we got the remainder 8. It's correct, perfect. Okay, for the first iteration. But the n value, what we got here? What is the n value we got here? 12.8. Why? 128 divided by it gave us in the value what? Decimal. But we want only the integer part in that one, isn't it? We want only the integer part. Then how do we get that one? How do we get that one? Isn't it? It's correct. Like JavaScript automatically has done on the integer. So 128 divided by 10, it is 12 point something it has given. But we want the integer part of that one. So JavaScript provides us with a lot of functions, helper functions that are there in different objects. So you can use here math dot. I would prefer what floor value. So what are the functions are there that I'll tell you at the end of the session. We'll be having that in the objects. Now let's check here what we are getting. It's correct now. 11 output is correct, isn't it? So 1 plus 2 plus 8. So this example I have taken up. So when you are dealing with numbers, how you should be careful with what operations you are going to perform. So floor will give floor of 12.8 has given us what? Math. There is a math object here. In that you have the function floor. So what that would give you is this one, isn't it? Math dot floor. Check here. So suppose 128 was there. Slash I have given 10. It has given us what? 12, isn't it? So 128 means we got the value as 12.8. So like this. The floor will give at what? Integer part, that is what? 12. In the same way we are having CL round off. If we give round off, it will take as 13. So for that reason, I've taken up this. Is that okay? Fine. Any queries you have, guys, just text me in the chat. Like when you are doing problem solving, these sort of issues will come up. You are unable to round it off, or you are unable to get the exact value. The logic is correct, everything is correct, but sometimes it happens. So just pay attention to these things. Why? Because JavaScript is dynamic. And next, going to the derived types. Second type, primitive types are over. Yeah, any queries? You can just text me in the chat, guys. Second type is what? Derived types. So in this we have the concept of what? Array is there. Then you have function. Then object types. I'll just take up the concept of a function. So what is a function here? A function like is a subprogram that performs specific task whenever it is executed. It takes the arguments or parameters, okay, and returns certain value after performing the operation. So in JavaScript, generally we declare a function like this. Function, the name of the function here. Suppose if you are giving the function name as display, isn't it? The JavaScript function is declared that way, and you may have input. Okay, so just again console.log welcome, just plus I'm giving string. So when you're executing this, like you're calling that function, there's a function name and this one one argument is expected, so you're getting here welcome plus Ravi, isn't it? This is how we just create functions in JavaScript. That's the first way. The function type, now you can check here console.log of type of display. Now I can see what is the type of will give you exactly what is the data type of that one. It is a function here. Now there is another way you can just create the same function. The other method is click here, like I'm declaring where display is equals to function keyword, then input parameter you are giving here, then whatever operations you want to perform, you are going to perform here. Good. You can see here you're getting the same output. This one way and this another way. There's another way also we can create that I will tell you by the end of this session. Good. So this is how you can say your function is also a derived type in JavaScript. Good. Then arrays. So when do we use an array? Why do we use an array? Good. Whenever you want to store one value, like take the example, like you are storing the name of one student. So what you are giving here, you are using the variable name here. What is the name of the variable? Like name where student name is equals to, I'm storing here Ravi. Now in the program, suppose I am required to store there are 100 students, 100 student names. So how many variables we need? 100 variables. So manipulating or handling of 100 variables becomes difficult. So for that reason, like most of the programming languages give us the support of what concept of arrays. So an array is collection of elements, collection or group of elements that are referred with a common name. So to store 100 values or 100 student names, I don't have to declare what? I don't have to declare here 100 variables. Rather than I can just give here where names is equals to, just you can give you a square bracket. This indicates it's an array here. Now in JavaScript also, arrays are going to have values. Like in other programming language, we say array should be what? Of same data type. An array is collection of elements of similar data type that are referred with the common name. Like C++ you take, Java you take, isn't it? It should be of same type. But in JavaScript, you can have any values. Like you can see a name is equals to Ravi, Raj, Sachin, isn't it? You can just check here console.log type of names. Just see the values here. Type of names here. So it is of type what? Object. That is what we had to discuss at the end of the session. Objects will be the last one. Good. So you can see here where names is equals to Ravi, Raj, Sachin. Now console.log of names. If you display here, you're getting in the form of an array here. Now Java in script you can use the index based notation also. Like the element, the first element will be at the index of 0, next element will be at the index of 1, next will be at the index of what? 2. We're having 3 elements. So the last element will be, the index of the last element will be 1 less than the size. So it is, in this case, it is, the size is 3. So the index of this one is what? 2. Now at the index of 0, what we are having, we'll get the output as Ravi. Suppose if I give the index as 2 here, in that case, it will give you as what? Sachin. Good. Yeah, fine. Based on the values we have given, so like the memory will be determined. Suppose I do not have any value, the fourth student is not there, so I can give you undefined, but not null. So undefined means that we are expecting some value here that does not exist. You can see we got it as undefined at that index. And we have rich function support for arrays in JavaScript. So we'll discuss that in next sessions to come. We'll have a detailed explanation on arrays in next session. And one more thing, like those who are coming from C++ background or Java or C language, JavaScript element need not to be of same type. Like suppose I am having students is equals to I'm giving 1001, and this one is Ravi, and sports is JavaScript. You can see we are having of different type, isn't it? And its percentage of marks 67.99. Console.log, it would work in JavaScript. That an array can have values of any type, any primitive types. Need not be compulsorily of same type. Okay. So inside that you can have array of strings or numbers or booleans, isn't it? Any type you can just give here. But what does that represent? We do not know exactly. So these are the details about the single entity we are representing with the what student enclosed in the square brackets. Yeah, you can use your square bracket notation here. Suppose if you are giving some in the subscript student of 2, you can see how we got that as what JS, that represent what JavaScript is the value at the index of 2. You can change the values also by the index. You can just change it. Good. Any queries if you have, just you can just text me in the chat. We'll discuss at the end of the session, guys. Good. Now in last concept is everything in JavaScript is in the form of an object, and if we want to group the values of different types by their key and value, for that we can use object. Like suppose I want to declare one object here, student is equals to. So this is how you are going to represent the values enclosed within this object we are declaring. So what is an object? An object is collection of pairs where each pair is represented with the key and value. See here, suppose I am giving here roll number, then colon its value 1001, then comma, I'm giving student name, then separated by that you're giving here comma, then quotes. This is how you can just declare the object in JavaScript. Yeah, like guys who are doing Python can just think about it as a dictionary, isn't it? Dictionaries you have. Now how we are going to access that? You can see here console.log type of student. So what would we get here? It's an object. Now how do we access the individual members of an object is? So in case of an array we use subscript. So here we'll be using what? The object name dot the key will give us that value. We can just change that. We can just, yeah, I got the value here. Then if you want to change that also, you can just do that one. Student dot roll number is equals to, I want to assign 2000. These are the very basic things, fundamental concepts that I'm trying to cover, guys. Like you can see here, type of student. Now everything in JavaScript is of type object. Good. So these are the different basic types, or the scalar values can be represented using primitive types, and derived types are obtained by grouping one or multiple primitive types. Good. Now in this case, the object student can be assigned. And one more thing, guys, like I'll refer to this concept that is very important. So basically whatever type you are having, it is of type what? Called by value only. The primitives are of type value, and derived types are of type what? Reference. So what do you mean by value and reference? I'll tell you. Just let's have a simple function here, sample, and I'm taking n here. Now just I'm changing the value of n plus plus here. Yeah, we'll declare a variable here where m is equals to 10. What is the value of m here? It is of type what? Number. Data type. We are just sending that as a parameter to M. Is it okay, guys? Console.log. When we just print the value here, M. We are calling the function here. Then after that, we have changed the value. Sorry, we have in the function. Then we are trying to display that. So we will get the value as 10 or 11. Let's see that one. We got the value as what? 10. So what you are understanding here, the primitive types are by default of type called by value only. That is, I have declared the variable M here of type 10. Then once I have sent the value M here as a parameter, then whatever operation you are performing on here, and now in this case, if we display here, we get 11, isn't it? N value is changed. But we did not return the value as well. Just when we are coming back here and we are just printing the value of M here, we are getting it as what? 10. So that goes to show that these are of type what? Called by value only. All these types, primitive types, will be of type value. Now, arrays, objects and functions will be of type reference type. Now suppose if I'm declaring one array here with the values 10, 20, 30. Now let's send the array as parameter to this function and try to change that for I, where I is equals to 0, I less than n dot length I plus plus n of I plus is equals to, or let double the values multiplied by 2. So we are doubling all the values, and let's display the value of array here. What we get here, you can see here we did not return the value from the function. All of you just look at this one. We did not return. We have declared one array here, and we have sent the array as a parameter to the function. In that we are performing the operations. Okay, that is we are doubling the array. So array elements, yeah, this I'll discuss in next session, how array elements are accessed, array functions, these all things. Maybe in next session we'll have in this week some more sessions on that one. One session for arrays, one for strings, one for objects, one for functions. There we are going to discuss in detail about all these things. Good. Now it is of type what? Reference type. Can you understand? Can you get it? Now we have sent the array here as a parameter to this function. In that we have just double the values. Each value 10 is there. It has been assigned, and after doubling that multiplied by 2, then when we are displaying that array, it is what? We are getting the output as 20, 40 and 60. The elements are doubled. Yeah, for that matter, we can take, see, one more example. Suppose I'm giving here where R1 and is equals to R. It is of type reference. Now suppose, let me delete this. So what do you have here in ARR is what? 10, 20 and 30. Now suppose ARR 1 of 0 is equals to, if I assign 200 and try to display the value of, you did not change it using ARR, that is the original array. So what is the output? We got it as 200, 20 and 30. So I have made the changes to which one, which array here? ARR1, that is the reference. So it is of type what? Reference by default. So what do you mean by reference? There is only one object, one copy of that is created. One copy of the array with values 10, 20 and 30 is created. So ARR would, one also would refer to that one. Now it will not be allocated separate memory for that one. It will just only have a reference to this one. So if you perform operations either ARR1 or ARR, that would reflect on either of these. You can see that in this example. So that way it is of type reference type. Good. And apart from this one, we have objects, like there are predefined objects are there in JavaScript that will be helpful for you, like math, M capital. You can see guys here, math is there. There's a number. I have used here now n number, and is capital guys here. Yeah, there is function. Good. There is string, S capital. Then there is array, A is capital here. So that is an predefined object out there that will give us a support for what lot of functions here. Now in the above example, I have used what to floor. So that is coming from which object here? Math, isn't it? And there is something called as regular expression. Yeah, guys, I forgot to explain that. In next session, I'll take up that one. Regular expression type is there, and above all, we have an object type here, capital O, object. Yeah, one simple example I'll take up with object here. You can see here where k is equals to new object of, suppose if I give the value as 10, console.log of k. You can see a number is there, isn't it? It's like an array test created, and you can just check here type of k as object. You get it here as an object here. Yeah, in the same way you can have strings. So wherein you'll get the support for what? Performing the operations. It will give you what? Allow you to have the functions that are there with that one. Like take the example, suppose we are taking here as a string dot. You can see these are all the functions of what? String. Char coded ends with isn't it? Includes, link, match all, to upper, replace, slice, to lowercase to uppercase, isn't it? These are all the functions of that string. Like if you take math dot, you can see these are the functions of math. Absolute, square root if you want to get. In JavaScript, you can use all these functions, round, floor. Now I have used the floor function, isn't it? You can round off, log where you want to get max of given numbers, 10 comma 20 comma 3, you're getting the maximum of that. Yeah, math dot max, sorry, math dot max of 10 comma 2 comma 30. So it will give you a 30 value here. This is how you can use the functions here. That are actually these are coming from these things. Okay, in the same way we have a number functions are there for string, for arrays. Yeah, for arrays also we have a rich function that we can use here. You can see our blank I'm giving dot. You can see a length, concatenate. These are all find, index, flat. These are all the things, functions that are coming from this object of what? Array. Array object. Yeah, what is regular expressions? Yeah, you have the regular expression support for that in Java or Python or JavaScript also. Regular expressions are used for searching a string. So how can we create an object of regular expression? You have a var re is equals to. So new is the object keyword that is used to allocate the memory. Then you're giving here regular expression. Then what is the regular expression that you want to give here? You can give. Suppose I want to check between A to Z, small case, isn't it? A to Z. Now I can just give here a regular expression object, regular expression dot test the input string. So if we give you a computer, it will give us true or false. Console.log of this. So it makes our job easy to search. So in this case, we are creating a regular expression object here that will test for whether you are having lowercase. It is returning true. Why? Because you have these things in the lowercase only. Suppose if I give numbers, we'll get it as what? False. Yeah, in the next sessions to come, we'll have one complete session on regular expressions as well. That will take up in maybe next week. Okay, guys. Any queries if you are having, you can just text me in the chat, guys. So basically, this is how you can use primitive types and non-primitive or derived types in JavaScript. And one more thing, everything in JavaScript is of type what? Object. Object.